we broadcast.
Oh. You'll hear the music. We'll be broadcasting after that.
Okay. No, I meant where else are we broadcast? So you got 2 other radio stations that are going out then.
Yep.
Wow.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Love Talk Radio.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order. The new world order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests. He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial. How can I convince you when your ears refuse to hear? You turn your heart away from me each time that I call here. Your eyes refuse to meet with mine, they glance away in fear.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same vote, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
Well, it's just a show. How can I sing the same we said the same? Knowing that your eyes blinded by the light. He is the free American, Clay Douglas. Catch the Free American weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Every time I think about the damage that's been done, the anger wells inside me till I'm almost overcome. I want to tear the moon down, the sky and up the sun. For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamericans.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American. I am your host. I am Clay Douglas. My guest today comes to us all the way from Austria, courtesy of Skype. Barbara Kurtman, welcome to the Free American.
Hi, thank you, Clayton. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about Austria. You speak pretty good English. What are you doing in Austria? Where are you from originally?
No, I'm originally from the state of New York, so that's why I speak English. And, And so, my passion is animal communication. There's not much to really tell you, I guess. I guess you just have to come over.
They've tried to lure me over to Germany a few times, but I figure I'd end up in prison over there if I went there, so I don't go.
Why would that be?
Well, because I don't believe 6 million Jews were slaughtered by Hitler, and so I guess I'm a Holocaust denier, and, that and the Mossad, I suppose, the Mossad or ADL have tried to kill me a few times.
Okay.
For I may have made a tactical error when I referred to 9/11 as an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning. Larry Silverstein bought the buildings, planted the explosives in it, and did a little bit better than double his money.
I understand. I understand.
Now, this animal communication, your website is animalconnection.wix.com,
Yes,
or
it is.
Pets and Human Oneness. Now, as I mentioned off of the air, I have 3 Harley riding Chihuahuas. They love to ride. One of my oldest has got about 50,000 miles on the Harley.
Oh, seriously? Wow.
Seriously, yes, ma'am.
Oh.
I even got him his ID so he can go. They can go into restaurants with me. Service animals.
Sweet.
What kind of service animal are you? You're not blind. No, I'm not. You know, but they're service animals. They keep me from hurting snotty maitre d's.
Sweet. And you said they're sleeping now, right?
Yes, yeah, they're laid out right now, listening in the other room. But what is it that you do now?
Okay, well, animal communication is about reading animals and speaking with animals, and connecting with animals. And I believe, well, and it's what I do is that I pick up images and visions and pictures and feelings and senses and sensations. And what animal communication is all about is really about hearing animals, keying into animals, and feeling into animals. And I feel that animals are here to actually train us and teach us about ourselves, because they're actually the direct reflection of ourselves. And I've had so much experience in my life with my own pet that they've showed me how I'm acting and reacting. And so my passion is to be here for animals because I love them more than anything else in this world. And I just find them so beautiful, and animals speak all the time, and so they're always telling us things, and they're always showing us who we are through their energy. Should I speak on, or should I wait for you?
No, go right ahead, dear.
Because when I get started, I
can identify with this because my dogs have kept me alive, especially my oldest. The one time I left him home is the one day somebody tried to kill me on the motorcycle, and that was 10 years ago, and I rarely go anywhere without him anymore.
Wow, that's interesting.
He rides on I can take all 3 of them with me sometimes, and they ride on a pouch on my chest, and they think they're driving. They love Harley, so they love the Harley, so.
That's adorable.
No fear. And
that's awesome. That's probably from you, because animals take on our own behaviors and our own reflections. They're a reflection of us. Like I said, what happens is that when animals are healthy or when they're sick or however they react to any certain situation, like in your case, the Harley, they probably feel really comfortable and probably feel like they're driving it because you give them that feeling and you emanate that. And animals react to that. They're a direct reflection of everything, like I said, what's going on with us. And so that's why it's really important for us to watch our energy and what we're feeling in regards to ourselves, because when whatever we're emanating to them, they'll reflect it back to us and they'll act accordingly. And so if we're it's like, I always say it's like another language, like learning another language, because when you're dealing with them, the way to listen to them or to hear them is through your own intuitive abilities and through really being quiet and calm and relaxed. And that's the way to hear them. And when we're in tune and when we're relaxed, that's when they're more relaxed, and that's when they're healthier. And when we're not, then the animals pick that up and they act accordingly. And they're also here, like you said, to be here for you and to save you and to help you. And it's really kind of touching when I hear something like that, because
Packy, come here.
Can you tell me your pet's names? I'm just curious.
Say what?
Your pets' names. I'm just curious.
Oh, my oldest is Bandit, and about 5 years after that, a lady gave me Packy. And that was, I call him Packy. He's short for Pac-Man. And then his son, I finally got him laid after about 5 years, and his son is Angel.
Oh, sweet. What nice names.
Come here, boys.
Sweet.
Come here.
Time to listen in the show, right?
Yeah, if they'll get up. I don't think they're getting up. But
oh well, we'll let them relax. It's time.
That's right. If they come in, I'll put them up on YouTube so you can see them.
Well, usually animals come to my shows. They're usually they're like, oh, she's talking about me. Because the animals talk all the time. They're always talking. It doesn't matter. They're always happy that somebody is able to read them and talk to them and listen to them. And I always find it really, really interesting because the animals are happy when you're listening to them and hearing what they're saying. For me, when I got started in animal communication, the way I got started was my pet. I had moved back to the States, and I was having a really hard time back in the States, and starting over, and my cats kept getting sick. And somebody mentioned to me, they said, well, go to an animal communicator. And at the time, I didn't even realize that existed. But I always had this feeling, because I always loved animals so much, and I always had this closeness, and I just love them. I'm vegan. I don't eat meat or anything, so they mean everything to me, all animals. So, and one of the reasons I'm vegan is because I love the animals, and because I speak to them, and I hear them, and I honor them, for the beingness. And so what I was saying is that I went to this animal communicator, and she really surprised me, and she showed me my own reflections, and she started to tell me things like, well, the lights went out in you, and I'm like, nobody knew that because I've lived alone still a long time, and at that time I thought, how can she even really know this because nobody's here? I didn't tell her that. And she said, well, how do you expect yourself, your animals to want to live if you're not living, or if you're walking around your place saying the lights went out in you? And like I said, she said the exact things that I was saying. That's why our thoughts and our feelings and our actions are so important, because we're emanating that out to the animals, and they reflect that. And they don't have what we call filters, which they don't have what I call the monkey mind, where you like us, we'll think about things and we'll say, no, well, maybe I shouldn't do that, and maybe I should, and we're not really listening and keying into our intuition all the time in all parts of our days, because we're so much in our survival modes and so much in our modes of, just living and just being, and instead of really feeling into, is this what I want, or this is what I don't want. Animals don't have filters. The energy that we're emanating and sending out goes boom. It's almost like you're punching them, so to say. It's that intense, and they just receive the energy because they don't have anything to block the energy. And with us, it's different. We think about things. We're thinking, well, maybe I should do this, and we're thinking that's the wrong way to go, or that's the right way, or we're getting our negative feelings or good feelings, and they just take on good and bad feelings. They just know it's either good energy or bad energy or nervous energy, or, and it all comes from us and the environment around, but it starts with us because most of them are living with us.
Well, yeah. You mentioned energy, and one of the things that I've tried to tell people is that do you know what the definition of love is? Love is an acronym. It means your level of vibrational energy.
Mm.
And I believe the animals can feel that.
They do. They know it right away, and that's why your pet also saved you, because they feel the things way beforehand, because they are intuitive. They are living their innate ability, and I believe the animals are here to teach us to come back to our innate ability, to listen to ourselves, and to communicate telepathically. I always say telepathy means tell the path. It's tell the path or feel from a distance through mind and heart. And it means for me like show the way, or to see the way, or to know the way to go, which is exactly in a way what it is, because when you're in tune with yourself, when you're more calm, then you really feel and know what's going on with yourself. And having pets, they're all having different pets, they'll be different parts of ourselves. Yeah, they'll reflect different parts of ourselves. And like I said, that time the lady told me that, well, if you change your energy, then your pets are going to live. And it was like really an awakening call for me, because that was the true thing. And I believe most of the time that you can really switch and change that energy. And I want to say most of the time, because last year I put my cat down, and it took a lot out of me to put her down, because for the longest time I had so many episodes with her, and she was my heart and my soul. And a week ago, actually on Friday, it was a year, so my heart was wrenching last week, because you know, I was like up and down, because she's like, we're really connected no matter what, we're always connected by love. And her and I had incredible situations together. I think she lived like really 100 times, because one time she was medically dead, and the vets wrote her off, and they said that it was over for her. They couldn't do anything anymore. I had her like 11 days at the vet, and I said to the vets at that time, I said, you know what, I'm going to take her home. She wasn't moving, she wasn't changing, and I was there every day like a mommy. And we discussed it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take her home. And even though she had to get IVs every day, we decided I would take her home in that situation. And it was like, it took me like 3 weeks, and then I had this real very special friend and girlfriend, which I'll never forget till today. Her name is Betty. And she said, when you change your energy, your cat's going to change your energy. And you already know this, and you're a healer. So get to work and switch your energy. And I said, I can't. Every time I sit down, I'm like, I see her not living, and it scared me at the time, you know. And it was just, I got so emotional, and our emotions make such a difference, you know, but you get caught into it. I mean, when you love your animals that much. And I really, really got caught into it. I was like, you know, I got very emotional, but it took me a while really to change my energy. And the vets were telling me when animals get sick, sometimes they change their behaviors, and that's really true. And my friend said, you know what, you're dead, and when you decide, that was another episode, when you decide to live, your cat will live. And I was like, I laid down next to her, and I was like, Lydia, you got to give me a sign. Her name was Lydia. And I said, you got to give me a sign, because I'm really not knowing now. Do you want to go, or do you want to stay? I mean, I love that cat. You can't even imagine. That cat was very special. And at the vet, we were almost going to put her down, her assistant, and she said, let us give her 2 more days. I mean, she was a great assistant. Thank God. And then I laid down next to her, and I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to choose, like my girlfriend said, I choose life. And that's it. I'm choosing life. And I was up at like 7 a.m. that morning, and I brought her in to get IVs and stuff, and I hadn't eaten since the morning, and I rarely slept. I normally slept next to her. You know, I rarely slept through the night, because, I mean, she was my baby. And this was like the 3rd week, you know, that I'm going through this, where she just laid there dead. She did not move at all for 3 weeks. And so that last day I was like, okay, I'm going to choose life. And I got up and I said, I choose life, that's it. And it was already like, I think it was like 6 o'clock at night or something, or 7 o'clock at night. And the minute I got up, and I have like a hallway, a living room, and a bedroom, and the minute I got up, it was like when I chose life, and I really chose it, yeah, she got up for the first time in 3 weeks. And I could not believe my eyes. I nearly fainted at that time. When I tell it, I just got tears, because it was hard to put her down last year, because I was doing a lot of healing last year, and I was doing my best to transform my energy, yeah. And she got up, and she wobbled, because she hadn't walked in 3 weeks, and yeah, it's like she chose life, you know, that was the sign. But I had to get really, really quiet, really, really peaceful, really, really as quiet as you can be. And that's one thing animals really teach you, to really be like, really get to your core get to your piece, be quiet, you know. And she got up, and about 6, and I swear, I mean, I still have tears telling it, and about 6 hours later, I decided I'm going to eat. It was like 1 in the morning, or it was 7, I don't know whether it was 6 or 7 she got up, but at 1 in the morning, I remember this like today, I said, you know what, I hadn't eaten all day, I'm going to eat something. At first I thought, nah, I don't have to eat. And then I said, you know what, I'm choosing life, and I'm choosing eating. And suddenly I hear crunch, 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 and I look down, and there's my cat, and she's crunching and eating, and I'm like, I don't believe this. After 3 weeks, it was like a total rebirth, you know? And I try to tell people that you always have a chance to transform your pets' lives, because I lived it through many pets, not just her. I have a lot of stories, yeah, through my own pets, through my own healing. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, yeah? And many times, like the vet said, oh, that's it, she's going to be written off again. And I thought, no, I'm going to switch my energy in whatever it is in me that's going on in me that she's emanating for me to change. I'm going to learn this now and look at her and see what she's emanating to me, because she's taken on some energy from me, and I'm going to switch it, and I'm going to change it, because any type of my negative energy is changing. So it's a whole thing. It's coaching and everything, you know. And so this other time they said, oh, that's it. She's, you know, she's also going to go, and her kidneys have failed. And I'm like, you know, no. And I went home and I thought, no, and she's going to be okay. And I just kept focusing and saying she's fine, and I'm switched. And really, you got to work on yourself when those things happen. You got to work on yourself, and you got to work on your pet. So it's like two things, you know. It's like a whole thing, you know. They're showing you like what is going on. Like I said, what's going on in me, and I switched again, and she was fine for the longest time, you know. And then I had it again. They told me to take medicine for her. And I said, no, I mean, they're always telling me to do this. And one time they told me I have to take her in every day now. That's it. I'd have to take her in every day. And I'm like, I can't do this. It costs me a lot of money. It's, you know, I didn't have a car. I got to take a taxi every day to take her for IV. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I thought, no. Just because they tell me that. I respect the vets. Don't get me wrong. Thank God for the vets. I believe you need both. I know a lot of people call me and say, you know, like, they think I got to fix everything. But, like, I always say the first thing is go to the vet. Depending on the situation, you know, sometimes I can help with their, you know, with less bills in a way, so to say. And sometimes it just depends, you know, it just depends how bad it is. If it's really a bad sickness, then they're going to have to go to the vets and get veterinary care. I think one without the other doesn't work. I think you need both. I think you need the combination, because Lydia would have never lived at that time without getting IVs. She would have dehydrated. And I remember that time my girlfriend said to me, you're giving your power away. And I go, I gotta bring her in for the IV. She's not drinking. Well, you know, it's not a matter of that. I gotta bring her in, otherwise she's gotta be hydrated. And so I think that the vets are really, really important. Thank God we have vets, and thank God for their knowledge. And I really respect them, and I'm thankful for them, and I love them, because, you know, they've helped many times. I mean, I have to say that my last vets really upset me last year. They were the best. But last year, Lydia did have a stroke. And at that time, they said I had to put her down, and she couldn't walk anymore. And I had to leave because I had actually had bronchitis right at that time. And I was like telling my friend, I go, what should I do? I mean, and they said, well, what would Lydia tell you? And I said, well, Lydia would tell me to go to the lung doctor. So I went, and I came back only to find out my cat was in a really bad situation, and they wanted to put her down. And they said that whatever they're giving her is helping her now, but that's it. She's not going to live overnight. And I took Lydia in my hands, and her legs were all over the place. And I took her in, and she wouldn't let me go. She would not let me go. She was holding on for dear life, like, get me out of here. Don't let me die. I'm not dying now. I'm not dying now. You take me home, Mommy. And I was like, and they got nasty this time. And the one person there, they always switch vets. And I said, no. I said, she's hanging on for dear life. She's telling me that I might still have a chance or to take her home. And so they said, if you take her home, she may not live, Barbara, and she's going to die overnight. I said, okay, I'm going to take her home. And she was in bad shape. She couldn't walk anymore. She had the stroke. And I said, but she hung on to me for dear life, you know, like, don't let me go, Mom. Don't put me down now. Don't you dare. I still am aware of what's going on. You know, like when people are in the coma, you know? And it's like, you know, they're still aware of what's going on. Their bodies might leave, or they might not be. People think they're not here, but they're here, and especially animals. And I took her home, and I said to her, I said, if you're going to die overnight, then okay, I got to let you go. But if you're alive in the morning, then I know you still want to stay. The morning came. She was still living. And the vets told me, because I had to take her in a bunch of times, the vets told me she's only living because of what we gave her. I'm like, okay, she's only living because of what you gave her. Okay, fine. Everything that you say. I'm saying nothing against the vets, right? And she lived another day. And the vets were like, yeah. And I heard her tell the other vet, that's because, you know, what we're giving her, and that's keeping her alive. Well, she lived 3 more months. And it finally came to a day, and I switched vets at that time because they were really mean to me. And I said, look, I believe a little different, and I believe in healing. And they looked at me like I was insane. But I do believe in healing, and I do believe in switching energy, and I thought I had a chance. And she had picked up to a certain amount of time. I had another vet take care of her. I switched vets for the first time in 10 years because I was mad at them because they were nasty to me. Because when I asked the question, they were nasty to me, and I thought, you know, my cat might be on her deathbed, and you're being nasty to me. And that was like a no-go. So I switched vets, and he said, okay, I can't promise you anything, but if you're believing in whatever, I'll give you a chance. You know, I'll give her a chance. And she got better and better that week, and her legs were even like, you know, there was like a reaction to her legs. But he said to me, he said, you've got to try to walk her, because if you don't, her organs are going to fail, and then we have to put her down. And I think part of it was my fault in a way. I did my best, and I was emotional, I have to admit, and her organs did fail, unfortunately. I did my best to heal her, and then I had to put her down.
All right, let me stop you for just a moment here,
okay,
because you said some things I find very interesting. 45 years ago, I wrote a series of novels, science fiction, at least I thought they were at the time, and I explored things like telepathy. My character was able to read minds, was able to astral project, was able to even levitate a little bit. And it was also in the setting of the United States in a future where victimless crimes had been abolished, and you could get any kind of drug or marijuana at the local store.
Wow.
Now it doesn't, with what's happened in Colorado here, it doesn't seem quite so much like science fiction. And I also had a father-in-law that Marine Colonel Lloyd Conrad, who escorted the surviving alien, the surviving Gray, from Roswell to Truman's office, and he said he communicated by telepathy. I believe that telepathy is probably a natural function of the human mind if we're either trained for it, or if we may have had our genes modified, or DNA modified, so that we can't do that anymore because it makes us too powerful.
What?
And do you exercise? Is that something that you do with your pets, or with the pets that you talk to? You communicate telepathically. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Like I said in the beginning, it's all about connecting with them, feeling into your intuition, like feeling into your feelings. Like, I'm extremely, extremely sensitive, unfortunately. Sometimes I think it's really an unfortunate thing, because I like a friend of mine says, you don't know how to, you still don't know how to protect your energy, because I'm an empath, and a lot of people who are empaths, it's hard for other people to understand it, because when you're an empath, you're taking on the energies around you. It's like my friend said. He said, and he understands it because he's very sensitive too, but he's still a little bit, maybe I want to call it almost stronger, I guess. But the thing is he said you still don't know how to protect yourself. Like people will be, you know, down the street and they might be fighting, and you'll pick it up and suddenly you'll feel awful, and you'll go like, you know, like what, you know, like I don't know why I'm awful. Like I'll wake up and I won't be in a good mood or something, you know, and like we all aren't in a good mood. And basically, telepathy is really when you're really, you know, you're feeling energies, you're feeling what the bad energies, the good energies, and unfortunately I take on a lot of stuff and I get really sensitive. I can get really sad quite quickly, actually, from being happy, and so I got to really watch what I'm doing because I have another cat and I'm emanating that out and I'm emanating that to the world. And we are all telepathic. It is our innate ability, and that's what I was saying in the beginning. That's what I believe, that the animals are here to bring us back to that ability, to show us. I'm always upset that people are killing and brutally abusing animals, and sorry, I gotta say this, that people are eating animals, because it kills me, because, or skinning them or whatever, because animals are really here to be healers and to bring us back to our abilities of what we always were, because they keep that innate ability. That's how they communicate, through the energies, through the feelings, through the senses, through sending us visions, images, pictures, and through their behavior. And so they're trying to tell us all the time, look what you're doing, look what you're emanating, look what, this is the way I'm reacting because of something in you. Like you had said in the beginning, you know, you drive with them on the Harley, and they only have that confidence because you have that. And like I was saying with Lydia, I mean, she got sick because she was trying to show me many things. And I remember a friend telling me last year, he said, Lydia unfortunately got this far and needs help now, but she said she did this because she wanted you to change some things about you. And you weren't looking, and you weren't, you know, you weren't doing it. And it almost sometimes makes me feel guilty, you know, because I think to myself, God, what did I do? What did I emanate, you know? And I believe that we can really live a very long time. I'm unusual for most people. You know how, like, most people will not believe that you can live forever in these bodies. Most people don't. And I don't think I will, but I do believe in it, because I believe that if we're never sick or never too emotional, that the possibility is there. Because it depends on us, you know, it depends on our emotions, and it depends where we're at. And it depends how, like, if we keep our bodies healthy, if we keep our thoughts healthy, and what we emanate and what we give ourselves, you know. Like I said, I'm an empath, so I really got to watch my energy. I need a...
Now, let me talk about that. Let me talk about that for a moment. I have a friend that would like to run for president. I encourage him in it. I don't think he's got a chance in hell because the way our elections are controlled. However, he has written a book called Farm Physics, and he talks about something, what he calls spinning your water. It's his opinion that when the water comes out of the faucet, the electrons are spinning in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. And he believes, with some pretty good justification, that you can take your coffee, pour your coffee in the morning, put your hand on one side of it and your other hand and with 3 fingers together against the thumb to form a little circle, and recharge your coffee. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, if you don't believe in that, you don't want to believe in that, you don't want to think about it, he says it'll cure cancer. He said we could live forever. Mm-hmm. That by doing this, it restores the water to its natural state of a healing state. And we know that water has a memory. We know that if you write the word evil on a glass of water and freeze it, the way it forms is chaotic. And if you want to do a test for yourself on this, take a Coca-Cola, put it in a glass, and do that what I described, 3 fingers and your thumb on one side, your hand on the other, and watch the fizz go out of your Coca-Cola. So it does do something. There is some type of energy there, and I've known this for years. I've been able to take away headaches by basically a laying on of hands.
Yeah. And when you're done, let me know because I want
Go
to
ahead.
say something
Go
about
ahead.
it.
Let me
No,
go ahead.
no.
That's exactly what we're seeing here. What I'm getting to is that we are in a field of energy, and we actually have more control over that energy than we want to believe, or that we've been taught to believe.
Exactly. And I wanted to say that now that you brought up names, and I'm really happy that you did. Did I interrupt you now?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Because I'm glad you reminded me, because I'm actually kind of like beforehand, I was like, it's funny. I mean, I know all my stuff, but I'm reading my notes, because I wrote a lot of things since I thought I was going to be on for 2 hours 2 weeks ago. So I wrote a lot of things down, and you reminded me now, because this is something really important, is that I had a client once that named her dog. I can't remember the name, but she named her dog some name, and I said, I'm sorry, I hate to tell you this, but you've got to change the name. Because if you're going to name your dog that, your dog is going to act like that. Like if you're going to say bad dog or like evil, like you're saying, or like nasty, or like rambunctious, or like if you're calling your dog something like, or your cat something like, something that makes them act like nervous or something, People use all sorts of dogs, or like all sorts of names, or like, something like misbehaved, or like bold, or whatever. They're going to act as that name. Names are really powerful. So when you name your pet, think about that. I named my cat. I had to put another cat down, unfortunately, many years ago. But I named my other cat Miracle. And the reason why I named her Miracle, first of all, for me, she is a miracle. And second of all, because names make a difference. And miracles brings in miracles. That keeps an animal also bringing in miracles, having a miracle, living with miracles, experiencing miracles, I mean, those names really make a difference. So I'm so glad you mentioned that on the air now, because I hope a lot of people are listening, because I want you to tell all your friends and everybody you know to change those names, please, on your pets if they don't have names that are like, like positive or happy, or like the name Happy, or just really good names, or fantastic, or outgoing, or, they're gonna reflect every single name that you're giving them. They reflect that, because names, just like you said with that glass and that soda and that coffee, they reflect that. And that you were saying that about living, and I believe that for pets too. I believe that our pets, if we raised our energy high enough, I believe our pets wouldn't have to die either. That's why it was really hard to put my cat down last year, because I thought, but I know, and it took me a long time to like really come to terms with it, because like most people would say, well, okay, she lived out her years, she was like 18, it's normal that they're going to die, or how old is your cat? For me, there is no age in that. There is no age. For me, the whole thing is what are you emanating? What are you giving your cat? I had a friend who had a cat like 21 years. I know somebody who said they had their cat 30 years. And I believe there is no age in that. It really just depends where we're at, what we're emanating. And I have to say, for instance, my other cat, Miracle, she's afraid of, I admit, every noise. I can't say I'm afraid of every noise, but I have my fears. They are in me. Oh, I'm not perfect, I'm aware of them, and she reacts with the noises because she's afraid. And I remember on New Year's, because they shoot fireworks here. On New Year's, they were shooting fireworks, and one year I was doing I want to call it like a healing for this lady, because it's an old friend of my mom's, and she had diarrhea. Sorry to say that on air. And so Miracles jumped up on me, so I said, I'm going to do it through Miracles for her. And her diarrhea was gone in like less than half an hour, and they were about to shoot fireworks here. It gets really loud at midnight, and she was calm. Most New Year she was like, she was calm after that. She relaxed and she calmed down, and I calmed my energy through it, and she reacted differently, The more calmer I am, the less she reacts to things. I always see that in her, and I always feel like it's like I said, I'm getting back to the same thing. The animals are here to really show us the reflection of ourselves. And show us what we are. That's why it's so interesting, animal communication, because, first of all, and you asked me about telepathy too, and I want to get back to that too as well, is that the calmer you are, the more you can hear, the more you can key into your own, what you're feeling. Anybody can read animals. And people don't think that. There's a lot of people who are psychic who say, well, yeah, I'm psychic, but I can't read animals. And I'm like, well, I don't get that. You know, I said, well, you're just not listening to them, or you're not connecting, or you're not hearing them, because you can read animals. You can hear them, and it's just a matter of how calm you get and believing the first notion and the first feeling that you're getting. It's like, here's a good example. I don't know, everybody's gone through, like, different situations where they suddenly feel something, like they get this energy and they go, something's wrong with so-and-so, or you're feeling like this is going to happen, you know. Like, I remember being in an accident when I was very, very young with my parents, and I had this feeling, and when I was young, I shook up, and I had this feeling, and suddenly, boom, the car crashed into us. We took this turn, the car went, boom, crashed right into us. And I'm like, I knew it right beforehand, or people feel like somebody's going to call, or you're going to meet somebody somewhere, and suddenly you bump into them, and you're like, I was thinking about them, or I felt that, and there it was, or the phone rang, you know. So we all have this, and it's a matter of tuning in. And the reason why it's really important to tune in and to be calm is because we're emanating this energy up to everybody, and to especially our pets, and we want them to be healthy, so the healthier we are, the healthier they are, right? And so it's really important for us to get back to our innate ability and what we are. And like I said, they're healers, and they're here to heal us, to bring us back to our innate ability, to show us what we're feeling, what we're doing, what we're saying, how we're acting, you know, and that brings us back to healing ourselves and feeling calm and feeling healed within ourselves. And, I wanted to say something as well about lost animals, and that's an important point for me. If it's okay with you, if I can go on with that really quick.
Go ahead. Let me mention one thing.
Okay.
Quite a few years ago, I was in Dallas, driving down Turtle Creek Boulevard to a ritzy area of Dallas, creek in the middle of it, 4-lane street, and came up onto a street. I believe the street name was Fitzgerald, but you couldn't see the street because there was a mansion there, a high wall on the corner there, and you couldn't see the cars on the street. I had a green light going east on Turtle Creek. My cousin was with me. We were in a Datsun 2000, little sports car. I got up to the light, and I slammed on the brakes. I locked it up on a green light. It went sliding into the intersection.
Wow.
And a car ran the red light, passed about 3 feet in front of my vehicle.
Wow.
And totaled the Volkswagen coming the other direction on the other side of the street.
Amazing, isn't it?
My cousin looked at me and said, "How'd you know?" I said, I don't know. Just felt like it'd be a good time to stop.
I get the goosebumps when you say that.
Now, what is that? I mean, I don't know. Was that telepathy? Was that intuition? Was that precognition? But something happened, and you know, to this day, he acknowledges that I saved his life. If he had hit my little Datsun on that side, my cousin probably wouldn't have made it through.
Wow. Well, it is your intuition, and it's probably angels as well, but it is your intuition, your feeling that you're getting, and it's also, well, I mean, telepathy is really picking up the energy, so it's kind of like the same thing in a way, at least in my eyes, you know, but if you want to call it intuition, it's like your inner voice, your gut feeling, or your inner voice saying, hey, something's going to happen, and boom, you got to react now, you know? You got to listen, you got to react, and you got to do it. And we all have this inner feeling. That's why I say anybody can read animals, because we all have this inner feeling. And we all have this feeling, hey, that, you know, that we got to do something now. And you had asked me before, like, who I am. So I wanted to say in the beginning, and I always have a hard time introducing myself, so I wanted to say I'm an animal communicator, an empath, and I'm also like a life coach, and I say a conduit for healing. And I kind of like the combination, because what I find when I'm reading animals or here for animals, when I'm picking up the animals, I'm also picking up the person. It's like, I always say I do a couple of things. I like read the person's energy, and I read the person, and I read the animals, and the animals usually tell me everything about their owners. It's kind of like, I usually get to know everything, and it's usually always different for every person. I never really remember things, because it's always different for everybody, because everybody's unique, everybody's different, every animal is unique, and each animal is here to tell us different things, and so when I'm reading an animal, then what I end up doing is also reading the person, and then I coach the person, because if they don't shift their energy, really like the animal communicator did for me, and I've taken animal communication courses, and at first I thought, I thought I didn't know it, but a friend of mine had said, well, I've taken a course and you already know it, and I said, what do you mean I already know it? And then I realized when I was there that everybody can read animals, because when everybody can read, because she brought us into a meditation, and when you get really calm, you really hear your inner voice. You're really then connected, and that's when you can connect with the animal. And I wanted to say, so when I'm reading the animals, I also have to coach people afterwards, because I make them aware of what they're emanating for their pets or to their pets, and that's why their pet has this ailment. Like if you have back pain, your cat or dog is probably going to have it. If you have like gastritis, they're going to have it. People always say, I'm worried about my pet now. My brother always says, you would be here for your pet before yourself. But I am, but in the long run, I have to really look at myself too, because I'm the one who's sending out that energy, and they're in my vicinity, And so, and I wanted to say, I don't like zoos anymore since years. I remember the last time I went there was with the animal communication class, and there was a wolf running around like crazy, and they're there to teach us, and a lot of the pets were saying, we're here to teach you, and we're here, so that you learn. And people, would make noises, and the kids would run around like crazy, and I always go nuts with the mothers, because I think, can't you control your children? I mean, the animals they're so sensitive. All animals, the wolf was running around, he couldn't take it anymore. You could tell that it was nerve-wracking for him, So, but I wanted to say one thing. I've got so many things to say. I guess it could have been on 2 hours, huh? But I wanted to say about lost pets, that a lot of people right away say, my pet is lost. And so every time you keep saying those words, your pet is lost. And I wanted to say that today, because I once had my cat on the street, kind of like a long story. My cat was on the street in the city. I was in the middle of a big business meeting at that time. I was actually doing some other business. And this lady was holding a course that I had organized, and she kept saying, and my cat was actually at that time, what do you call it when they're screaming and stuff, when they're in heat. And she was in heat, and he was in heat. No, she was in heat, sorry. He was in heat, rather. Sorry, he was in actually his own heat. So I finally let him out, but I live in an apartment place, so he ended up being pushed onto the street in a big city, and he's never been on there, or never was out the door. I was frantic at that time at first, and I thought, how am I going to get and I love that cat too, of course, I love all my pets, and so how am I going to get my cat back? And, well, within 2 days, I had my cat back, and the one thing that people have to say is, I found my pet, I found my cat, I found my dog, I know where my dog is, I'm connected to my pet. You make a heart-to-heart connection with your pet, because you're always connected. And don't say that, I shouldn't say don't, release the thought of saying don't. Say that I found my pet is here, I'm connected to my pet, I can feel my pet's heart. Feel that heart-to-heart connection, and feel those energies going back and forth between both of you. And I'm sure you'll find your pet, or have your pet, or I'm sure your pet will come back, or somebody will find your pet. Had that experience with a friend as well, that her dog was let out, and we did a lot of we did a lot of positive affirmations. We did a lot of releasing, did a lot of stress releasing, because I always also do that too, stress release or releasing stress and stress management. And at the end of the night, finally her dog was back, and she was telling me, first she was frantic. So the best thing for us to do when our pets are ill is, the hardest thing to do is to be as calm as possible, because you can even find your pet, because I found my pet that was on the street for 2 days, and in a big city where that cat should have been dead. And it was just really, it's really about connecting and believing that your pet is here. And don't say they're lost, because the more you say that, the more lost. And we're getting back to words and the water, what you're saying. Don't say lost, because then they'll be lost. And I got one more thing I really want to say, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
I had a rabbit once. I was living in Israel, and I had a rabbit once I had a lot of rabbits. I had 17 rabbits. I love rabbits. And I gave my rabbit away. I had to give some rabbits away because I just couldn't take care of them anymore, unfortunately, at that time, and just didn't have the room for it. I had a Siberian Husky, and I had rabbits, and I had my cat, and my cat was given to the people down the street, and the kids were taking care of the rabbit. And well, I visited somehow, because it was only down the street. I visited my rabbit, and my rabbit lost all its hair, and my rabbit didn't want to live anymore. And in the way they were taking care of the rabbit as well. And animals get so connected to you. Often when you give them away, sometimes it's the hardest thing to give a pet away, because they often do die, because they're so connected to us. Sometimes we have to, sometimes depending on the love that they give. Love is really powerful, the more love you give a pet. But that's what I'm going to get to right now. So I ended up saying, you know what, I want to take my rabbit back. And I ended up taking my rabbit back, and it lost all its hair. And I nursed my rabbit back to health through attention and love. And love is the strongest healer. It really is. And what I did every day is I just kept saying, you're going to be healed, and you're healed, and kept seeing my rabbit with the hair grown back, and I kept saying, you're a lovely rabbit, and I love you, and you're beautiful, and you're gorgeous. And my rabbit had no hair, the hair was gone, and it started scratching it. So I had that with Lydia when Lydia was in that 3 weeks when she was dying. Her hair it was broken up because they gave her so many IVs that I thought her hair wasn't going to go back together either. Her whole body was puffy, and it was coming apart like a puzzle. And I had it with my rabbit too, and I just kept saying, I love you, and I'm here for you. And I just kept giving my rabbit a lot of attention, a lot of love. All the hair grew back. And so love, and I want to tell everybody, love is the big healer. And the way you can heal your pets through your love and your attention and being here for them, and really just saying beautiful words. And remember, one thing today is to say how much you love your pets, because that's really important. And love is really the big healer, Anyway, that's many of the things I wanted to say. But if there was anything you wanted to say, I would leave a little space.
Well, I agree with that. I always know where my dogs are. We're always in touch with one another.
Aww.
It's they don't they don't go off by themselves anywhere. They're with me all the time. So.
Oh, isn't that sweet? I was out 2 hours today, and I was surprised that I'm usually in, and my cat ran already to me, so I was really surprised. But that's beautiful. See, they really mirror us back. They are our mirrors, and being our mirrors, they really show us and reflect who we are. So it's really beautiful that you're with your dog. That's gorgeous. That's very, very.
Yeah, I've got three. Basically, I've got 3 generations that are with me all the time.
Aww.
So
sweet.
It's what? Tell me about your work. You're in Austria, so but how do you work? How do people find you? What do you charge for your services? What do you do for them?
Well, I would say they can find me through that website that you gave out. So, like I said, I pick up their animals and tell them what's going on with their animals and what's happening to them and why they're acting the way they act, why they're emanating this energy. and what's going on with them. Like I said, I read the pet, and then I read what I do is I get really, really quiet, and then I feel into what the pet is telling me, and I connect with the pet through a name. Usually I need the name, and then I connect with the pet and listen to what they're telling me, what's going on in their environment, and then I relay that back. I usually need about 45 minutes. I always say I have to really clean and clear my energy. If I'm not in a good place, I can't do that. So, and then I relay back to the people what's going on with their pet, and also then, as I said, then I tell them, or I express to them ways of. I always say they got to release a lot of stress, because everything comes out of stress in a way, or what we're emanating and how we're emanating it, and so through that. That's how, and then with like transformational coaching, and that's how when you change the way you're thinking, you can actually heal a pet, or you can transform your pet's energy. It's happened to me many times. I've told the stories today. So, and like you said, it's animalconnection.wix.com/pet and human oneness too. And I was going to say, like, the benefits of it. How much time do we have? We got 5 minutes, or
we've got as much time as you need. So.
Well, I don't need much more time. I was just going to say that when you become aware of what pets are saying and doing, and by that, you can find out what they mean and what they're trying to say. You learn about yourself. You become more aware of yourself. Like, the calmer you become with yourself, the calmer you are, the calmer your pets will be. And you can always shift your behavior. That's always possible, okay? It's up to us, and it's always up to us to change our thoughts and our energy and our feeling, and we can change that out to the world. And then when you understand your pets better, you understand your own world better. And so you learn different techniques of your pet, of learning how to hear your pets, but you also change your own life through it. So it's kind of a unique process, because when you learn about animal communication, you really learn about your own self being more calmer, releasing your own stress, and you actually can change every area of your life. So the more relaxed you are, like I said, the more you're relaxed your pets are, the healthier they are, the better they feel. And the more when you understand your pets, you'll start understanding what's going on with you. And so it's kind of like a whole process. It's kind of like nice that it's not just like channeling the pets or anything, but it's also like learning so much about oneself and our own energies and what we're emanating and giving out to the world. And I always say it's the wonderful world of the animals, and that's why I urge everybody, I'm sorry I have to say this, to please honor the animals more. They're all here to teach us to come back to our abilities, what really is us, and not to eat them, because they're so precious. And and to please send out love and kiss and hug your pet today and tell them how much you love them. And, they're here for us like no other.
I agree with all that. I mean, I live with my dogs. They sleep with me. They each got their spot to sleep under the covers. And, but I am a Texan, and we love our cattle.
Well, I can't even hear that, Clayton. You know what I mean? I close my ears to hearing that. You know what I mean? And I can't laugh to that because I'm.
Well, we've been raising cattle here for generations upon generations, and we love them. And that's all I'm saying.
I won't say anything anymore, okay? So, because being a vegan is important to me, because it's all about respecting the animals.
Well, let me ask you about that. We are making some progress in the United States. Mm-hmm. We have problems. One of the problems that I talk about, and that I'm certainly aware of, more people to be aware of, is a little company called Monsanto.
Yeah. A big one, you mean?
Big company called Monsanto, whose motto, I think, is "No food we don't own." And they're the largest manufacturer of toxins in the country. They gave us Agent Orange. They gave us Roundup, and they gave us all these weed killers and all these insecticides. They spread on our food, and of course we got the chemtrails spraying aluminum and barium on our foods and in our water. When the aluminum hits the water, and they've already poisoned the water with fluoride, it really contributes to Alzheimer's and other diseases, mental and physical diseases.
Yeah.
And but there is one company here called Bright Farms that is doing something about it. Now,
Thank God.
it's they're operating in 6 states now, and they've contracted with the food market change, the food change, to put greenhouses either on the parking lots or the roof, and they're growing non-GMO foods right there where you buy. So what you buy that day, you got to stay with me. We got a break here.
Okay.
I got to warm the coffee up, and we'll be right back.
Discover what's really going on in the world. What mainstream media will tell you. At Truth Radio, you can listen live or listen to a wide selection of archived programs. TruthRadio.com. The truth is out there.
Years ago, a man by the name of James Collier made a video called Was It Only a Paper Moon? That VHS video has been in the library of Truth Radio for many, many years, and I have a DVD of it ready to send to you if you'd like to view it. If you've never seen Was It Only a Paper Moon, I promise you, this is a mind bender. This is something that will really make you think. And I'll be glad to send you one if you request it. Our policy is we give, you give. So just give us a chance to give. And we'll be glad to send you this in the mail. Our address, P.O. Box 344, Nipomo, California, zip code 93444. That's P.O. Box 344, zip code 93444.
All right. I almost got the sugar in the coffee. All right, we're back. I'm talking with Barbara Kurtman. She's a animal communicator, and it's been a real interesting conversation, dear. We've got more time if we need it. If you got some more points that you want to make. But Monsanto, what I was saying about Monsanto and Bright Farms, they're growing the food in greenhouses on the roof of the supermarkets, on the parking lots of the supermarkets.
Oh my God.
They're covering them with they're covering the greenhouses. They got greenhouses, so they're able to filter the water. They're able to get the aluminum out of the fluoride out of the water, and they're not having to use pesticides. And you're buying the food you buy in the supermarket was picked that day, so there's no gasoline, or you're not paying Rockefeller for the gasoline to truck the vegetables up from the farms down in Mexico. And anytime a communist regime takes over a country, they go after 3 classes of people in order, and the first of those is the farmer. They go after the self-sufficient family farms. They don't want you being able to feed yourself. They don't want you being independent. So, as a vegan, are you aware that rats won't eat the corn that Monsanto's producing? What's it like over in Austria now?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people have gone vegan now because they do have vegan fairs going on. They just had one this weekend. I think a lot of people went vegan when they found out they were eating horse meat, which shocked people. So a lot of people went vegan, but when I first came here, when I was 20, when I came and I left because I moved around a lot, when I first came here, I was sitting down with my brother and eating carrots with nuts, and everybody would like laugh at us because when I came here, what was it, 34 years ago, the first time, and so they were laughing at us. But now, it's really changed because people they're changing now because the fact of the matter is they realize they're eating horse meat and they don't want to eat horse meat, so it's changed a lot. No, for me it's important because the reason why is because I really love animals and I really care about them and respect them, and I know that they're here for a higher purpose, and I know that they're here to teach us to heal and to be here for us. And not for me. I know I'm going to get a lot of debate probably through this. I don't know how much flag you're going to hear from this, but for me, it's basically I know that they're here for us, like I said, and here to heal us and here to teach us about ourselves and to show us what we're emanating, even in the zoos, which I don't like. And so that's why I respect them and don't eat them. And I love them. And when you love something, you would not eat your best friend. You usually wouldn't eat anything if it's your best friend. And a lot of people do it for health reasons. I think it's also health reasons, but I think it's also, not just that. I think it's basically, if you have the love for them and you understand them and you know that they're speaking all the time, you wouldn't want to do that to them. You know what I mean? Like I said, you wouldn't eat your best friend. For me, I say they're my best friend. Some people say, what? I say, well, the animals have been here for me more than anybody else. Whenever I'm lonely, they're more here for me than anybody else, or sad or whatever. They're always here for me. So, yeah, like I said, I don't eat my best friends. And like I said, they're here to help us, teach us. And I remember my animal communication class. She was saying that the animals in the zoo, they're really here to show us things, and that's why some of them choose to be in that situation. And maybe some of them do choose to die to teach us things. Because there's us out there that are saying, hey, look what happens. A pig falls out of a truck and then dies on the highway or whatever, hurts itself, and it was about to be slaughtered. So I guess that they also, are here to show us, hey, look, let us wake up. And I don't believe that they're here for us to eat. I know a lot of people give me like flack on it because they say, well, they believe that, what about the animals that eat animals? And I don't know, I just see it differently. I have a different thought about that. I think that our society got messed up from the wee days from our early times or whatever. So, yeah, no, I just, like I said, I love them and I respect them. And
let me ask you about Austria. You're right next to Germany, are you not?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, what is the relationship between Austria and Germany on these days?
Be clear on that, because I don't know what you want me to say.
Well, I'm just, Germany, I've seen some films from Germany, and Germany is doing what I believe the United States needs to do. They've got the self-sufficient family farms up there, and they're actually doing what I've been urging people to do in America for years. I said, if you grow your own food, even if you grow food, not grass in your backyard, you can feed yourself. And if you put solar and wind on the roof of your home, you turn your home into an income center. If you produce your own energy and your own food, then you don't need the governments or the banksters for nothing.
Yeah, but that's the solar. That's the solar system. They have that in the States too. There's somebody by the name of Michael Reynolds, and he builds Earthships in the States. I think he started like a big part of that. I don't know
in New Mexico.
What it is over here. Yeah, New Mexico. Yeah, so you know about him exactly. And if we live with the solar energy, that's something I would like to do someday. I'm hoping on it because I really believe in preserving our energy too, and having a veggie and fruit garden and make nuts and all those things and have them all.
The films that I saw from Germany, that all of these outlying farms, all these little farms laying around the countryside, are covered with solar. Their roofs are solar input. As a matter of fact, there's another company that's doing roadways that are solar. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. They can, and because they've got these LED lights in it, they can put the lines in the road. They can put out warnings, and if a deer walks across the road, it lights up.
Wow, that's interesting.
And so
I don't know about that.
Lots of things happening like this. Bright Farms that are putting the gardens on the roof of the supermarkets. We're cutting out our dependence on oil. We're cutting out our dependence, and we're becoming more self-sufficient. I mean, God gave us the wind and sun. Why not use it?
Why not just use it, right?
Yes.
I agree with you. I'm so into that. That's my thing too. I believe in that, and I'm into that too, because I believe everything's like a whole. I say we have, like you say, the sun and the wind and the rain, and I love what Michael Reynolds did, and I'm so into that, and I think that that's how we should live. And I didn't even realize that in Germany. I saw something on Facebook the other day where they said the cars are being now recharged by solar panels now, and I didn't know that. I saw that, and I was really pretty excited about that. I have no idea as far as Austria is concerned. There's peace here between the countries, thank God, so I have no idea, but I'm sure Germany will pass over to all other countries, and when things start one place, they go in all the other places, right? So,
yeah, and if we run our cars on electricity, all the drawbacks that they have with electric cars, the batteries, you got to have all these batteries, you got to have these, massive batteries to store it. Well, you've got a source of power, not just from the sun, not from you can put a solar panel on your roof, but not just that. Your wheels, when they're turning, if you put an alternator in your wheels, not real hard to do. They've got them there right now. They'll just bolt on, and they'll recharge your batteries while you're rolling.
Perfect, isn't it?
It is, and
I love it.
They don't. You don't hear much about it because they want you buying the gasoline.
Yeah, but you know what? But things are changing now, it sounds like, so it's good. It's about time. I mean, like Michael Reynolds first started that out in New Mexico, and it's good now because now the world is starting to really shift. We can really live off of, and I know we're changing our subject, but it's interesting because for me personally, I see and most people don't see this, but I see spiritualism and animals and everything and the plants and the trees as one. Like I say, I always get a little confused with people because I think if you're spiritual, you love animals because you want to love everybody and everything, so you respect them just as much. That's how I think, I mean, I have a lot of people screaming on the air, but I am who I am, and I'm not afraid to say who I am, so I've been on this journey long enough, so I am who I am. Everybody can be the way they are, so I respect that too, but I am the way I am. And I see it as a whole, and I see the whole earth as a whole. Yeah, I see that we have to be here for our earth. I mean, Michael Reynolds had said, I think I heard him say once, that you should, that we could even, in New York City, you could put solar stuff in New York City, and you could light up all of New York City, and you could put botanical gardens up on top of the roof. I mean, if people would really start being self-sustainable, you don't even need animals. You don't even need anything else. We don't need all this stuff because we have it. And I always see that as a whole picture, because preserving our resources, because we have all the resources. We have the sun, and we have the rain, and we have the wind, and I mean, it's, and we can have our own botanical gardens, and we can be self-sustainable and self-sufficient, and I think it's time for us all to be there. I really do.
All right, I'm going to let that be the last word. I appreciate you being on, and I'd like to have you back.
Okay, sure.
All right, darling. Thank you. Thank you for being with me, and your links will be up on the site. You can share the show with people. If you got an
Okay.
email list, simply go there and do that.
Okay, I will. Definitely.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, then.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Clinton. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm kind of in the middle of a show here, but how's my computer coming?
Well, I got a little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news, and I'm not quite done with it yet. But the good news is I've gotten into the computer and I'm able to start working on it as far as finding out the different problems and things that you're having. Basically, the main problem you're having is something somewhere is stopping the drivers from installing for the keyboard and the mouse. They both work, but something is stopping them from being detected and installed by Windows.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm working on right now.
Okay, by the way, that's not from a hacking. It just one morning it just stopped working. The keyboard stopped working. So.
Well, see, and that's what's strange. Again, the keyboard and the mouse both work. They're just not being detected by Windows. Something is stopping it somewhere. The other little bit of bad news that I have is that your CD-ROM drive is actually bad. It's not that it's not being detected. The CD-ROM drive on the computer is actually stopped working.
You got one?
What?
You got one? Do you have one?
I don't have one that I can put in there, but excuse me, I can definitely check and see how much they cost. The last problem that I'm having here is that the mouse and keyboard drivers that it's trying to install are the most current drivers. So even though they're installed, they're still saying they're not installed. It's an unusual thing. Something is stopping them somewhere. Other than that, I think everything else seems to be good. I'm going to be trying your front page here in a minute, since you said that was a problem you were having, and then I'm going to see if I can't figure out what's stopping your keyboard and mouse from working.
All right. Can you use a plug-in mouse? And even the plug-in mouse that I was using for a while stopped working. So it wouldn't read it wouldn't find the plug-in mouse.
The plug-in one?
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I got front page opened up just fine.
Okay. There should be no problem with that, except I don't have a copy of the front page. Can you make a DVD or CD of that program?
No, I can't take it from an installed program. If you had like the disc or something, I could obviously make a copy of it. But an installed program isn't all the same things that are on a disc.
Okay.
Different parts of the program get installed in different places, and it references these different places. And I have no way of knowing where all these references are and how they would have to be installed on.
Okay. Well, if we can get a keyboard working on it and the mouse working on it, then I can use that front page, and that won't be a problem.
Okay.
And
all right, let me keep working on this thing, and I'll let you know as soon as I get the rest of this thing taken care of.
all right, now let me ask you this too: if I bring my other computer that I'm using now with me to you, can you get the two computers talking to each other?
What exactly do you mean by talking to each other?
I mean being able to access my files from this computer into the old computer. I've got a IBM ThinkPad that's working now. Everything's working on it. I just don't have all of my data that's in that machine.
What's
networking? Can you get them networking? This one's a Windows 7, I believe.
A Windows 7 and a Windows Vista. If you had you got a router that you're going through?
I have a router. I've got a Netgear router. I haven't. I'm not using it, but I believe it works. It worked for a long time. I could bring that with me and let you see if we could get them talking to each other.
If you've got a router, we can see about getting them to just like a basic home network type thing.
Yeah.
And that would probably work for you. They're both up and running, and then you can transfer between them through the network. That would probably be the easiest.
Yeah, I get my Wi-Fi. I'm on Wi-Fi here from the RV park that I'm in, and so I don't know how we'd work that with the router, but I'm sure you could figure it out.
You get it through there, huh? Well,
And they were both reading, both of these computers were reading from the Wi-Fi that I got here. So if you can get that keyboard and mouse working, then we should be able to do it with no problem. Keyboard and the mouse are the main problems here. If you can get that fixed, that'll take care of most of my concerns.
Okay. Alright, let me see if I can't get these things working, and then I will let you know.
Okay, I'll be here. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Alright, Truth Radio, Crusade Radio, Blog Talk, still on, still working. And what do we got here? Yeah, something else I want to talk about now. Gordon Duff. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the good news is it can be fixed. Bad news is it'll cost you an arm and 2 legs. That's right. That's right. Now, the other Cold War. That's what I want to discuss right now. The other Cold War that no one talks about. As usual, and by the way, material sources for this article are currently under a national security letter. Information within this article has been deemed restricted, and every attempt was made to prevent publication of the information I'm about to share with you. As usual, the biggest story in America is suppression of the news. There has never been a time when the media has taken such an aggressive position, not even after 9/11. It's more than Ukraine or Syria. The U.S. has not only outraged Russia and China, but other nations that were once afraid of the U.S. are now ready to hit back. The simplest way to go after the U.S. is to release classified information showing the U.S. as an aggressor nation, or worse, a dupe, violent, dangerous, and uncaring. We forget what it was like, the carefully orchestrated orgy of hate after the nuclear demolition of the World Trade Center and the missile attack on the Pentagon. This is one of the many shameful moments in American history where a nation abandoned common sense and backed a gang of traitors whose common purpose, all can see now, was and is the destruction of the United States and her freedoms. We have, for the first time, national intelligence agencies leaking aging but high-value material. It's clear why there was such a real anger at the hypocrisy of the gang running the United States and divulging intelligence that WikiLeaks and Snowden are unwilling or unable to deal with, particularly as they seem to be joined at the hip with the mainstream media, is a way of stirring the pot. Material is flooding out. American drug dealing in Afghanistan, and remember I told you about the American drug dealing in Colombia and Panama and Mena, Arkansas. We learned that Mohammed Atta and the Saudis in the U.S. weren't training to attack on 9/11, but were rather were being trained by the CIA to fly drugs out of Afghanistan. They were there as patsies on 9/11, ready to carry forward a childish narrative to the American public. The American public has been stoked and primed to lap up. Atta, now exposed as a colonel with Egyptian intelligence, was their liaison with Israel and the CIA, hardly Al-Qaeda, even if such an organization actually existed. Surveillance logs show Atta and fellow pilots living in New Jersey, less than 100 yards from a house filled with Israeli art students. All had been under FBI surveillance, watching CIA handlers and bagmen coming in and out, pizza deliveries, call girls, embassy officials and lawyers, lots of them, prime Washington law firms. No budding terrorist should visit America without friends like these. There's a danger at looking at the little picture and ignoring the global narrative. When sitting in Tel Aviv or Moscow or Abuja, I can name 100 cities, it's easy to see the United States as the evil empire, and those plotting to erase America as one great superpower may well be quite rational. Look at how America has handled its leadership position in the world since the fall of the Soviet Union. Could there be a bigger disaster? As Jim W. Dean points out, what other nations attack so many, stages so many color revolutions, kidnaps, imprisons, and tortures without due process on such a scale? America can't recognize Israel or perhaps the Likud leadership as a long-term enemy, despite overwhelming evidence, simply because the idea of opposing America seems unthinkable to American leaders who live in a delusional Pollyanna fog. Who could hate America? Thus, the great but not so public debate in Washington, the cooling of relations with Israel as their powerful lobby increasingly takes on an aggressive anti-American stand, can't be popularly assessed unless Americans are willing to accept full culpability for being not just unlovable. We must also face up to our being a clear and present danger to a world seeking self-determination and freedom, something Russia and China are offering much more convincingly. As the self-appointed policeman of the world, the grand enforcer for the criminal oligarchs of the world, America had not gone unnoticed. Was America's Jewish community long the home of not only social reformers and liberals, but in Marxists steeped in foreign allegiance as well, honed into a tool to bring America to her knees? 9/11. The biggest story has been the Russian release of not only their assessment of the use of nuclear weapons on 9/11, but their admission that they accessed the Sandia Lab's investigation of 9/11. According to documents received and published by Veterans Today, the real 9/11 investigation at Ground Zero involved gathering samples to identify the origin of the nuclear weapons used. What Sandia Labs, a DOE investigation? The Sandia report. And interesting that my film, True Face of FEMA, warned about an atomic attack. It had already happened. And it was filmed at, True Face of FEMA was filmed at the Sandia Labs. The Sandia report found evidence, we're told, through the Russian sources, only as the U.S. has never admitted this investigation, that American manufactured nuclear devices were used in the demolition of the World Trade Center. We are told that evidence of weapons used using plutonium, once a part of a W-54 nuclear warhead, supposedly scrapped at the Pentex plant in Amarillo, were found. We're also told John O'Neill, the former FBI agent killed on 9/11, knew about the theft of 350 warheads, which are claimed to have been sent to Israel. The narrative, published in rough translation on Veterans Today, tells of Bush family involvement. It also tells of the accentuated damage done to Israel's Dimona facility in 1986 to overuse and abuse building nuclear weapons. We have very secret confirmation on that from someone involved in the site, not Mordecai Vanunu. The Sandia report, according to the Russians, is 72 meg of documents, are relatively huge. The Russians also provided names of those involved in aiding Bush, 41 and 43, in selling the weapons. The involvement of certain British leaders currently under investigation, and of the sale and use of these weapons involving 11 nations and several terror attacks around the world. We are also told to blackmail a plot against the Bush family, forcing them to aid in the attacks on 9/11 rather than face a reckoning for the sale of nuclear weapons to all comers. Even without a public scandal or war crimes trial, there are powerful parties in the world unwilling to let such an act go unpunished. One statement in a rambling narrative any idiot knows: they are not real terrorists. They are all hired guns working for intelligence agencies. Most global watchers had figured that one out for themselves. The dump from Russia came only a few short weeks after the New York City Daily News published a sleeper article outing 70,000 nuclear cancer victims. What the New York Daily News didn't list, however, is the dead. What our own investigation told us, something war veterans who have seen the Gulf War Syndrome and Agent Orange crash scams up close, is that medical professionals treating those with radiation exposure were coerced into giving wrong diagnoses. We have seen this so many times. Medicine, while bowing to their masters, will always turn to toxic soup or simply let their patients die rather than risk losing that sailboat and vacation home. Shame on them. We were also referred by our Russian friends to look at the FBI Special Agent Mike Dick. This man is reviled for leaking Israeli involvement in 9/11. He was also involved in a major investigation of Israeli JPAC ADL spying, also suppressed. A key area the Russians are also talking about is Pollard. To understand Pollard, I am told, you have to understand who and what the Mossad really is. This is the narrative, not one of my own. Take it or leave it. The Mossad was set up by James Angleton and Kim Philby, two top counterintelligence experts of both the CIA and MI6. Angleton had a long career hunting moles within the CIA. He resigned in '74. Philby was Britain's top spy master. However, in 1963, he moved to Moscow. Turns out he had others called the Cambridge Five, though the real numbers were endlessly higher. Had been running British intelligence as a KGB NKVD franchise since before World War II. Angleton believed he had helped create the Mossad as a backdoor into Russian intelligence. Okay, let's get a few things out there. Israel was established by communist or socialist, whatever. It is still a socialist or communist country with broad government control of private industry, government health care, and as long as you are Jewish, a classic Marxist paternalistic state. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, says Gordon Duff. Israel is making it work, backed by endless U.S. aid and having virtually liquidated the indigenous Semitic population they choose to call Palestinians. This can be debated elsewhere ad infinitum. In fact, it is. What is clear to the U.S. is that Israel was, in fact, a communist state, not just strategically placed in the Middle East, but one with very close ties to Stalinist Russia, one filled with socialist true believers willing to infect the West, using the broad influence of the worldwide Zionist community to carry on a Marxist war, particularly against the United States. How many times have I told you that we are in a war, and it is a war against the communists? I've told you this over and over and over again. Now, Angleton believed he could use this to his advantage and turn the Mossad into a double-A organization, one secretly tied to the CIA while overtly pure KGB. History proves that Angleton was wrong. In the end, Philby won out. having created the Mossad as a communist pure believer organization that would in fact survive Russian communism itself. Philby built the Mossad with one purpose, to penetrate every level of the U.S. government and military, penetrate the FBI and CIA, and to provide an operational capability to support the systematic destruction of the American financial system. Aiding the Mossad were communist front groups AIPAC and the ADL and others. The Bolshevik true believer philosophy morphed into what was now known as neo-conservatism, a virtual minefield of totalitarianism and self-destructive economic voodoo, and a psyops designed to push the United States to civil war. Consider this a hypothesis steeped in the history of intelligence organizations. Some see other sinister hand, Michael Shrimpton's DVD, or Benjamin Fulford's Dragon Societies. Taken in this context, both Shrimpton and Fulford gain in credibility. Both have strong support within the intelligence communities. The Pollard case, one continually in the news, as both Israel and U.S. officials continually push for his release from his life sentence for spying for Israel, is very much at the crux of this. The Russian report was very clear. Pollard was there working through a Mossad functioning throughout the Cold War as a KGB franchise. Here is a quote: "The KGB would provide a list of stuff they wanted, and Pollard would give it to them through Mossad, so if he got caught, only Mossad would be blamed." The Pollard material was devastating. George W. Bush is quoted as having said, "Because of Pollard, if we'd gone to war with the Russians, we would have lost." This is confirmed by someone there at the time. The conclusion: those who believe the Cold War is over never understood it in the first place. To a generation of Americans, the Cold War was couched in rhetoric about godless communism, peddling the dream of the everyman millionaire, the land of opportunity and individual freedom. America as she exists today is a surveillance state, a police state, one where even the 1%ers are being bled by the 1/10 of 1%ers, the 400 people who hold 70% of America's wealth. The world's largest prison system, overcrowded, a real gulag, yet unspoken and unseen, standards of living plunging, press controlled, courts politicized. Defending the land of the free and the home of the brave requires more than a small amount of looking the other way for anyone but the totally blind. The conjecture that Israel may somehow be engaged in an effort to destabilize the U.S. through propelling an already dying animal into a well-deserved demise carries some validity. The question we ask, however, is the end result a world freer or one enslaved even no more, and by whom? Who else has a history of wanting to control everyone and everybody? That's basically what I've been telling you about for so many years here, trying to document this, trying to keep this in front of you. What we got here? Okay, we'll confirm that. Now, let's see what we got here. 20 minutes. The terrible specter of the dreadful few.
Sometimes I'm embarrassed to have to consider myself a member of the human race. It could be due to the fact that some unfortunate number of us are not members of the human race, but rather some sort of alien hybrid that bears as much resemblance to a human being as refrigerator mold does to tree moss. Unless you are dumber than a retarded rock, you know by now that whatever viral life form is occupying the land of what was formerly Palestine Palestine and is now called Israel, is the most pernicious enemy of human freedom on the planet. They want to pass a law now that makes it illegal to compare Israelis to Nazis. I actually have no problem with that because that is an inaccurate comparison. They are actually much worse than the Nazis, as well as having been the banks behind them in the first place. There is absolutely no doubt at this time that Israel committed the 9/11 attacks. There is absolutely no doubt that they were the motive force behind Homeland Security and the TSA. One need only look at Michael Chertoff and Joe Lieberman and a host of other criminal types from the same bloodline in the Departments of Defense and State and every critical area of government. They own and infest the media, which influences the minds of the populace to believe in the vicious lies that led to the deaths of millions around the globe. They are the architects of biblical perversions that have resulted in tens of millions of fundamentalist evangelical Christians believing that their Savior was a Jew, and that the people who put him to death are the shining spotlights in the kingdom of God, Jesus. This results in these potato heads sending their children off to be cannon fodder in wars designed by Zionist Jewish bankers for profit and stolen landscape. There is no doubt that this and much more is true, and if you don't believe it, you're either employed by them or deserve what you're getting. They are near exclusively sitting on the boards of directors of every powerful alternative sexual organization, which they are using in a premeditated fashion to destroy Western culture. They are the sole motive force behind taking Christ out of Christmas and laugh at you when all trace of Christian presence is removed from the White House, while a menorah as big as an amusement park ride is raised right across the street from it. They are the sole motive force behind political correctness, which is one of the most singularly evil philosophies in the world. They were the sole driving force behind the Russian Revolution and all of the horrors that attended it. They comprised quite a number of the Young Turks during the Armenian Holocaust. The horrors caused by this small band of replicating psychopathic monsters is beyond measure. Across the tortured centuries of all our dark and dreadful history, stretching out of memory. You may not like it. You may not want to hear it. You may be just one more chicken shit slave in the cage of your own cowardice. But it's all true. Deny it as you like. It's all true. And worse. They were the ship owners who brought the black people in chains across the sea. They were the slumlords in their neighborhoods, once they were allowed to have neighborhoods. Israel is one of the main centers of the contemporary sex slave trade. I'm not your research assistant, look it up. Go ahead, spend the next few days reading about these lovely specimens walking upright among you, like rabid Komodo dragons. You may not want to hear it. You may not like it, but it's true. Yeah, the truth is an unfortunate thing. The truth is a pain in the ass. The truth is uncomfortable and downright unpleasant. The truth is not welcome in the house. The truth can sleep under the bridge abutment. The truth can take a hike. Fuck the truth. I don't want no part of the truth. The truth is dangerous. The truth can get me in trouble. The truth can mess up my life. The truth can get in the way of my appetites and desires because I live for the commands of my stomach and my dick. Crucify the truth. Crucify the truth. Such is the cry of outrage and anger from those whom the truth conflicts. Such is the nature of those who live and profit from misery and lies. I don't want to say these things. I don't want to get up out of my warm bed and apply myself to the kind of thing that has never granted a warm bed or a welcome hearth. I don't want to do it, but I have no choice. I will not look back on my life and say in the shamed confinement of my imprisoned heart that I was a coward and a traitor to every good and decent quality that I did not have the courage to seek after and possess. I will not turn my eyes away from the terror, the harm, the suffering and abuse of my fellows at the hands of conscientiousless beasts. They are not human. Whatever else they may be, they are not human, and I will call what I see. They do not rule over me. Yeah, what about it? Prove me wrong. Define the clear imprint of their cloven hooves upon the pages of history. Show me where all of this is not true. I hunger for it not to be so. Shall it go on and on forever? Shall it never end? So long as the much vaster numbers of humanity submit, it will continue. On that you may depend. What is it that spellbinds the minds of so many of you? What is this force that makes you doubt what is right before your very eyes? What is this power that can hypnotize? Is it a form of blood magic? It is the exercising of certain rights. It includes not only these viral specimens of a certain race, but their associates in crime. They are engaged in magic. All wars are magical wars. There are many kinds of magic. There is the magic of entertainment that captivates the mind and imagination. There is the magic of media that deceives and compromises reason and the intellect. There is the magic of demagogues and charlatans who mesmerize the crowd. There is the magic of arcane ritual that summons demons from their realm. There is the magic of symbols and numbers and names. These things have come out of ancient lands and are practiced today. However,
you know, this is what I wrote about many years ago. Many years.
However, a new magic is on its way. This is why I do not fear them, and neither should you. Their magic would have harmed me already, but there are stronger magics besides what they possess, and we shall see that put to the test.
I wrote about a magician named Solomon at a time in the future. I wrote about it 45 years ago. I wrote about drugs being illegal in 46 states, with 4 states retaining the same kind of laws that we've got right here today in Texas. I wrote these novels in a Texas prison. Thought they were science fiction at the time. Now it doesn't seem that way. I wrote about the magic of Solomon, and now you're listening to this.
These are those times. This is a time of awakening. You may not wish that it were so. It is a time beyond your resistance. You'd better get with the flow. Their time has come, as it always does. Recorded memory does not contain the last engagement or the one before. Here in this world of trial and error, we have been here before. I understand that you don't want to hear this. I sympathize with you. All I ask is that you carefully and clinically disprove it. Prove me wrong. I welcome it. Prove me wrong. Make my day. Show me that it is not so, and that they do not command your governments. Show me that your leaders do not bow before them when they are the smallest numbers here. Show me that AIPAC has little power. Show me that they do not control what you see and hear. Show me that the names in charge of the corporate documents are not the actual names of the owners and administrators. Show me. Show me. I command you. Show me. Show me that they did not cause these last wars. Show me that they do not comprise the neocons. Show me that they do not murder the Palestinians for sport. Show me that they do not use children for target practice. Show me. Show me that they do not run the international organ harvesting rackets.
Everything this man is saying is true. It's real. And you want to deny it. Oh, Clay, we just got to appeal to the good Jews. Well, if they're out there, they would...
Because their own organs reject the corruptions of the bodies that contain them. There is a mystery here which you are welcome to explore. Show me that they do not presently call for the destruction of Iran. Show me that they were not behind the destruction of Libya. Show me that they are not making relentless war on the Muslims and Christians. Show me this is not true. Is the evidence not right in front of you? Show me. I don't want to have to tell you these things, but this is my world too. I won't be staying long, but I will not be silent on the way. Must collectively wake up to what is happening to you, or far worse is around the corner and on the way. You need to get a clue, but in the meantime, please disprove what I have said. Please disprove what you have read. Please present the overwhelming argument to the contrary. Please refute case by case. Please use what history and direct present evidence provide, and show me how it is otherwise. I'm waiting to hear from you.
And I am waiting to hear from you. I have been telling you this. It's not, this is not being anti-Semitic. It is being anti-satanic. You know, the churches have been undermined, and remember what Washington was told. In the future, the Jews' religion will control you. It's happening. Judeo-Christian is, you might as well say I'm a satanic Christian. And I've told you this. Now, the books that I've written 45 years ago, I'm editing right now, or will as soon as I can get my computer back, if I got the money to get it out of the shop. I need your help. I am telling you the truth. I've never told you one lie. Nobody has ever sued me for libel or slander, because everything I've told you is true. It's pretty incredible here, guys. I knew 45 years ago what the truth was. I wrote about it in my novels. Those novels now, hopefully we'll be able to put them together and distribute them. But if you're listening to the show, you need to tell people about the Free American. You need to tell people about Clay Douglas. You need to start listening and learning what is happening here. It's a tough thing to do, folks. It's a tough thing to do. Now I've locked up this one. Oh, they didn't like that one, did they? They didn't like that one. Again, getting the truth out to you folks. Getting the truth out to you. Unresponsive plug-in here. Trying to get that working. Computer's locked up. Alright, I'm out of here. I guess I'm just I've lost it here. Guess we're still on one of these things, but we got an unresponsive plug-in. And it won't let me get out here. Pretty strange here. Pretty strange here. Cutting the show off early today, guys. God bless you. Keep you safe. Make a donation to freeamerican.com. I need your help. God bless you. Yeah, they locked up my computer, guys. Alright, I think I got back in here for the moment here.